Hi everyone. So I just wanted to talk to y'all briefly about this whole phenomenon. It's a whole movement on buying black. And let's not get it mistaken. I'm all for buying black. I'm all for the belief that what we're going to do for us should be done by us. For us, by us, I'm all for that, right? I'm all for the Pan-African tenet that we should keep it within the Pan-African family, keep it within the family. But I was thinking deeply today about black economics and how we have been promoting this idea of buying black and keeping it within the black community, keeping our dollars within the black community for so long. This is not a new phenomenon. This is not a new movement or ideology. This has been going on for decades, right? And it's all about black empowerment, especially within the economic sector. I'm all for that and I get it. But I think there is a part that is missing. I think there's a part that's missing that we don't quite acknowledge, that hasn't really been acknowledged. At least not on a mass scale. And I know Dr. Boyce Watkins, like he's a financial guru. He covers the whole economic part as it relates to how we're going to elevate as a black community. But I don't think there is much talk about this that I'm going to talk about here in this video. You don't hear that many black conscious leaders emphasizing the importance of not only buying black, but selling white. Now, I'm going to talk about the many different aspects, the implications for not only buying black but selling white in this video, because something may sound good in theory, but I think when it's put into practice, it may not necessarily translate how we envision it, right? So I want to kind of go into a little bit detail about what will that look like for us as a black community globally to not only buy black and circulate our dollars within the black community, but to sell white, to pull financial resources from the white community. Now, I did a little bit of research on the racial composition of the United States, and this is according to the year of 2017. There were 321 million people total within this country. We call America this great country. Of those 321 million people, 234 million 370,202 were white. They identified as white. And 40,610,815 were black or African American. So we're talking about 73% of the American population. 73% is Caucasian, is white. That is a huge, that's almost 3/4 of the population of the United States we're talking about is white. Only 12%, 12.7%. So it did go up. The number, it did increase a little bit. But I did some research and I noticed that over the past several decades, that number really hasn't changed that much. I think it was like 11% and it went up to 12%, and it's been pretty much stagnated at 12% for the black African American population in terms of percentage of the U.S. population. And then Hispanics and Latinos make up 56,510,571 of the American population. That's 17.6%. So when you look at the numbers, I think we limit ourselves when we only buy black, right? When we only buy black and we only sell black, because that's the idea. What's to be done for us should be done by us, and we just keep the money circulating within the black community. That means we sell to other black people within the community, and we buy from other black people within the black community. Buying is a really important facet, because how else will black entrepreneurs, business owners thrive? Where else would they get their, economic growth from? I think that's how we've been thinking historically. But I want to take it a step further to challenge people to think about not only taking resources from each other, right? Or giving to each other, but taking resources from the black community, from the white community, outside of our community. So let me be very specific. So yes, it's important to buy black. It's important to patronize other black-owned businesses. I'm not saying that we should not patronize other black-owned businesses. What I'm saying is that beyond that, we should market our businesses, our companies, our black-owned entrepreneurial endeavors. We should market that to a broader market, to a broader audience, to a broader population outside of African American, Black American people. It makes sense, because when you think about the distribution of wealth, who owns and controls much of the resources that we have that exists here in this country? Who owns and controls most of it? Not black people, it's white people. So wouldn't it make sense to somehow level out the financial distribution of resources, to market and to sell to other demographics outside of our own community, which we only make up 12% of the population anyway? I think it makes perfect. I don't think that we really thought about it. And I think some of us have, but we are so opposed to integrating ourselves within the American system that we want to separate. We want to keep everything separate. We want to have our own community, be isolated, and just be to ourselves. And I mean, we've been doing that. When you think about it, we've tested and tried that approach. It has not been successful. It has not. When it comes to when you're trying to measure and define success by the amount of economic growth within the black community, how is that benefiting us when we're limiting ourselves to just one segment of the entire market within this country? It does not make sense. We only can go but so far. When we're talking about the entire wealth of this country, and we're only taking a small piece of that pie from our own people, like, it doesn't make any sense that we're only selling to black people. So the money, yes, is being circulated within our community, but in terms of the overall distribution of wealth, we're not getting that big chunk of the pie, because who owns and controls much of the resources is white people. So we're not even getting that amount of the bigger amount of the pie, the American pie, that's really should be entitled to us. We're limiting ourselves. I mean, I think that, and you just think about the different types of businesses that exist out there. I mean, it's endless. We're talking about food and agriculture, housing. We're talking about, transportation, like beauty, health and beauty, and like food and health are very big industries within this country. I mean, obviously, right? Like you need both. You need health, you need food. And I feel like to only target a certain market, a demographic of market, is not to say that it's not important, because I don't want you guys to misinterpret what I'm saying. Yes, it's important to target a certain demographic, but when that's the only demographic that you are targeting in terms of marketing your business and pulling resources from a certain group of people, I think you're not going to get too far. You can be very successful, don't get me wrong, as an individual. As a enterprise, yes, you can be successful just selling to black people, for example, right? There are many successful black owned businesses that only target other black people as customers, and they're very successful. They have apps that they have collected, a group of black owned businesses, and they feature them on this app, and it's just kept within the community, right? Not to say that you can't be successful, but you can be even more successful and to leverage more financial wealth. That's what it's about. Like, we really want to build up the black community, and it makes sense to pull resources from the white community. If we had the ability, the capacity, the wherewithal to own major corporations that we're talking about hundreds of millions of people rely upon for survival. If we as a black nation within this country had the ability to own, I mean, I think for some of us, people who are in business, people that we kind of get like discouraged and we give up hope because we're like, okay, white people already own most of the stuff most of these conglomerates, most of these Fortune 500 companies, these major corporations are talking about that majority of the U.S. population relies on. Like big corporations. We're talking about the electric company, for example. Like electric companies, housed within different cities. Like much of the population has to, everybody, you can't live without lights, electrics, right? So you have to rely upon this corporation that is owned by not black people but white people. So I'm thinking, if black people, if we can create a companies, like, has anyone ever thought about this, that majority of the population within your given city, or take it beyond that in your given state, or beyond that within this entire country, the majority of the population needs and has to rely upon, and we're talking about majority meaning including white people, not just our own, that will be genius. But why doesn't anybody think about that? Why aren't we doing that? Now, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, because when it comes to business, it's like everybody is fighting for a huge chunk of the market, right? And we know, like, white people, they really want to be in control of everything, hence the reason why they do control everything, right? And black people were like, okay, we'll settle for the crumbs and what we can get, right? We'll settle for just enough to get by, just enough to say, I own a business. And I'm able to keep a roof over my head. I'm able to pay my mortgage, pay my, my rent for my apartment, own a car, just the bare minimum necessities that you feel that you need to get by in life. A lot of black business owners, they're willing to settle. And I was thinking today, like, no wonder we are so limited economically as a race, because we only sell to black people. We only create services and products that black people can use. And it's easy to create a product or service that your own kind can, because your own kind. You know how to cater, how to develop a product or service that caters to that specific demographic, right? But to take it a step further and to challenge yourself. Because white people damn sure ain't hesitating to create products or services that cater to the majority, to everyone, right, of people, because it's all about the bottom line for them. It's all about that dollar. They're not like, oh, we're only going to create a restaurant that's only meant for white people. Like, no. They may create restaurants that's targeted towards a certain class of people, certain tax bracket. So, you may not be able to afford to go to these high-end restaurants if you live in paycheck to paycheck kind of thing, right? But they're not discriminating based on, ethnicity or race. right? So I think that's a smarter approach to go about, because they're not limiting themselves in that respect. Whether comes to clothes, to anything you name, clothes, food, like they know how to be flexible, in their product and service development, so that it fits Latinos, it fits Black people, like it's appealing to people from many different demographics, and not just American, but also people from countries that are abroad, that come here to live in America. Like they know how to adapt if it means like having to translate your service so that people who only speak Spanish can be able to utilize it. Like I think that's genius. Like to be able to make accommodations for different demographics of people beyond your target market. It's not to say you can't have a target market or preferred market. I have a preferred market within my own organization, Ubawa. But it's not to say that if white people come, like I'm just going to turn them away. Like, no, I have a preferred market, meaning like they get priority. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm very much passionate about my own people. African first and foremost. However, like, I'm not aloof to the fact, and I'm not, blindsided and so, like, some people are so fixated on this whole black and buy black and pan-africanism that they miss the big picture, I think. And you don't want to, the big picture is that we need money, we need resources, we need financial resources, right? So does it matter if it comes from white people, if it's being served for black people, for the greater good of black people? Does it matter? But some people, they think like a one-track mind, so they're like, oh, I don't want to deal with white people's money. But we live in a white country. We live in an integrated country. Your cell phone is white-owned. So to say I'm only going to, do only black products and black this and black that, your cell phone is white-owned. Like, everything is white-owned. Most of the things that you use have been produced by white people and owned by white people. So it makes no sense to say, okay, I'm only going to just deal with only black. Like, that to me makes absolutely no sense. I think we need to focus on the end goal, which is to build up the black community. But the means in which we do that, I think we need to expand our horizons, because it makes sense. It makes financial sense, and it makes sense in the long run. The end will justify the means. You have to look at it that way. The end does justify the means. I think, and I hate to use, white Americans or white supremacists as an example, but I mean, they have a good model to see. I mean, we reference white supremacy all the time, right? They have an awesome model of how to dominate a society, how to dominate different markets. They don't care if black people use their product. They want everyone to use it, right? It's for everybody. They create these products targeting the black community. These white-owned companies create products targeting the black market. They're very strategic about their advertising and their commercials. They will put a black actor in a commercial wearing kente cloth. They know that, yes, white people will see this commercial, but they have a certain goal in mind. The ultimate goal is getting dollars. They know that black people have those dollars. They will take those dollars from the black person, from the black community, and they do it all the time. They did it with Dove. They did it with H&M. It was racist how they went about it, but they're going to get their money one way or the other. Louis Vuitton did it. Like, they have their ways of targeting, creating very specialized, well-designed marketing marketing schemes to go about getting the black dollar. So why don't we be very sophisticated in our approach to create these marketing plans to leverage the white dollar, to get the white dollar. Why are we so opposed to getting the white dollar when the white dollar is a bigger piece of the freaking pie? At the beginning of this video, I gave you guys a breakdown of the population, the demographics of the American population. Why is it that we are so opposed? Please answer this in the comments. Why are we so opposed to getting white dollars? We earned it. We got to get out that mindset that, oh, we don't want white people doing nothing for us. They're not doing anything for us by buying our products. You have to look at it like if you're in business, every business owner knows that it's an even exchange. So it's not that, oh, they're giving you their white dollars, they're helping the black community so much. No, it's an even exchange. You're delivering a quality product or service that they can benefit from. And in return, they give you this. That's the whole idea of trade. Like, you guys have to think from a business perspective. Yes, always keep politics at the back of your mind, the black of your mind, that too. But always keep it in your mind. I'm always thinking through seeing things through a political lens. Everything I do is through a political lens, right? But politics and business go hand in hand. They're inseparable. And I think that we have to just expand our horizons. We got to think bigger than what we've been thinking. We have to think outside of the box. We have to think critically about it and understand that sometimes to get from point A and point B, it isn't always necessarily a straight line. And to think about it, black people sitting here talking about reparations. So you're willing to take reparations from a white government, but you're not willing to take a white dollar from white people's hands that you have earned by selling a product or service to them? It makes no sense. Challenge yourselves to think outside the box and do it. There's so many different ideas. I might make that my next video. Different ideas for business. Like, you have to just look at what is there. There's so many gaps within the market. Those gaps are opportunities for you to jump right in there and create a product or service that fills that gap. And it cannot just be for black people. Think outside the box. Make it, even if you develop it initially for black people, you could make a duplicate of it and cater it to white people. They will gladly give you their money. Like, black people, we are so talented. And I know, like, when you think about who controls the resources and all these businesses that they own, if we just had a different perspective when it came to business and politics from a racial perspective, if we just had a different perspective on it, man, we will outdo them. We will own this country, because we're just that talented. But we don't. It's like we don't want to. We don't want to own it. We only want to own a little small piece of it. We will be able to make products and services that outdo theirs. And white people will be coming to us, spending their money with us, as opposed to spending their money with their own, because our product and service will be way much better than theirs. Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, they're all great people. But there are a lot of black techies who are just as smart, if not smarter, that have created things. But it's just like, come on, we have to push ourselves, which we do. I'm not undermining the work that we've already done and the work that we're continuing to do across many different domains, right? Whether it's in the techie world, whether it's in the restaurant, hospitality business, health and beauty, transportation, clothing, textiles, it don't matter. Like, we do it, man. We rock. But we just can't be so focused on selling only to black people. That's just my main point in this video. Like, I can't reiterate that enough. Please share this video. Share your comments below, because I think this is really important. We always talk about buy black, buy black. Yes, we need to buy black, but we need to also sell white. Sell white and sell international, because there's so much money to be made overseas too. But look at all these white people living in this country. We talking about 234 million. Let's get their money. All right, I gotta go, you guys. I'm about to go to this movie, but I'm gonna check you guys out later. Leave your comments below. Share this video, man. We gotta sell white